So this is to explain how to enter data for the island occupancy survey. So you start by opening the email. The sender is Fáilte Island and the subject line is Accommodation Occupancy and the most recent month or months. All of the instructions are contained in the email, including a link to the website and your user ID. If you're copying and pasting your user ID, be careful not to copy the space after it, otherwise your password might not work. We used to be able to contain passwords in the emails, but we can't any longer due to data protection laws. I'll show you in a minute how to reset your password if you've forgotten it or you never knew it. So let's log on screen, enter your user ID and your password. So you can see there under the sign in button there's sign in options. That's a link which takes you to reset your password if you don't know it. Once you're in, go to the top of the screen. You see that blue link there, February 2019 or whatever the most recent month is. You click on that and it will bring you to this summary page. Now whatever you do here sets up what the data entry page is going to ask you, so it's important to get this right. So let's start with the preferred format. You have a choice between monthly totals and daily totals. If you haven't done this before, I suggest that you select monthly totals because it's quicker and easier. Some people like to do it day by day. That's fine if you do, but if you haven't done this before, then select monthly totals. If you can't distinguish between Republic of Ireland guests and overseas guests, you can tick this box. Now we would prefer it if you leave it unticked because it allows us to analyse trends in domestic tourism and overseas tourism, and this informs strategy. But if you really can't make the distinction, then you can tick that box. If you're closed for the whole month, then tick this box. If you're open for the month but closed for a certain number of days, then enter that number into here. These next two cells are pre-populated. Now please don't change these numbers unless you've made a major change to your establishment. For example, you built an extension and you now have more rooms and more bed spaces than before, in which case you can change these numbers and tick the box at the bottom of the screen to make that change permanent. Otherwise, please leave these alone. In our demonstration hotel we have 5 rooms and 10 bed spaces, so we have 2 bed spaces per room. If there are any reasons why your occupancy was unusually high or unusually low this month, then it helps us to understand reasons, so you can type that in here. When you're happy with everything, click Save and it will bring you to the data entry screen. Now all you have to do is enter numbers into these 4 boxes. I'm going to start with the room nights because some people find this easier to enter first. 1 room night is 1 room occupied for 1 night. To put this into context first, if you look further over to the right, it's saying rooms available 140. So we saw earlier that there are 5 rooms in our hotel. There are 28 nights in February. 28 multiplied by 5 is 140. So the maximum figure that you could enter for room nights sold is 140. That's if every room was occupied every night of the month. The chances are the number you enter here is probably going to be less than that. So let's say, for example, on our system it tells us that we sold 100 room nights. Now we need to enter the number of guest nights. 1 guest night is 1 guest staying for 1 night. So for example, if you have a couple arrive and they stay for 3 nights, that's 6 guest nights. That's 2 people multiplied by 3 nights. So let's say, for example, our records show these numbers of guest nights. We enter them here. One mistake we sometimes see is that we see very low numbers entered here, like 1s and 2s. We accept it might have been a quiet month, but make sure that you're always multiplying the number of people by the number of nights and not just entering the number of people alone. If you're happy with that, click Save and you're finished. I'm just going to show you another common error. So let's say we'd entered a number that's too large here. This error message comes up saying that your guest occupancy this month equals or exceeds your room occupancy. So if you look at what's happened here, our total number of guest nights is 250 compared to 100 room nights. So that means that on average we had 2.5 people per room. But if you remember, in our hotel we've only got 2 bed spaces per room. So for these figures to be correct, It either means that some people were sleeping on the floor or there were too many people sharing a bed. Either way, something doesn't look right. So if you get this error message, then please check your figures. I should also mention that if you're in self-catering, it is possible that this error message could come up and the figures might actually be right, because if you have units of all different sizes, then that is possible sometimes. And also for different sectors, in self-catering, whereas it shows here room nights, this is for serviced, it will say unit nights, and if you're a caravan park it will say pitch nights. Otherwise the form is the same for all the different sectors. If you can't figure anything out, you're not sure why an error message is coming up and you can't work out what's wrong, go back to the email. That's me, Anthony Lydell. Give me a call and we'll be happy to help.